Like you don't want to see
You
me
don't,
when I
yeah,
you
you
don't want
wouldn't
to see
like
me
me when I'm
when
angry.
yeah, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. And then went fucking full on berserker mode.
All right, Swolhirrim, we're here to talk about episode 3 of Rings of Power. Came out technically today, but for some people closer to the West Coast, it came out on
Yay.
Thursday, right? Thursday
Nine
evening.
o'clock, baby. It was fucking perfect.
Blah, 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 blah.
This is a right time to watch that show, man. 9 o'clock.
So let's go to you first, Carlos. I think we did this last time too. We went to you first, but let's go to you first, Carlos. Tell me what did you think about it?
I thought
Were
this
there certain things that popped for you?
yeah. So overall, again, I like this episode. I thought it was really well done. There were some things that I wasn't too crazy about, but it's not really like mm, it's not really like a uh um you know, it's not bad. I don't think it's that
Hmm.
bad, right? But overall, I thought the pacing was a lot better. Because I know people have been complaining about the pacing. I thought it was a lot more. Um, the movement was better because we were really just kind of on three things, right? And I
Right.
think with the first two episodes being released at the same time, we had essentially like 2 hours where we're following like I think six different storylines.
Yeah, we jumped around a lot in those
Yeah.
first two episodes.
And so it was just kind of like, okay, where am I? And then like, what's the pace of this storyline versus the pace of this other storyline? And I think
Right.
with what we have now is so we got three storylines, with some kind of drama in it, right? So we have Galadriel and Halbrand in Numenor. We have Arondir in the Southlands
Hmm.
captured, and then we have the Harfoots
Right.
right, in Rovanion. And so I think the pacing was a lot better um, than previous episodes. Not that I think the pacing was all that bad. The one thing that I didn't care for, right, was when R. Farazan had said, "Oh, he used to be a lord out in the West," right?
Right.
Because they were
I mean,
because
they're changing that line.
they're changing that line a little bit, right? He
Yeah.
was always a lord, right? He was a
Right.
lesser lord. His family comes from a line that would have inherited, but for the fact that they were like the second son or something
Now,
like that.
I do think that I do think that they kind of help, or at least Isildur, or not Isildur, Elendil, kind of more or less like tells us why that's the case, though, because at this point, the the faithful are already kind of outcasts,
Yep.
right? And so my assumption is it's a he's a lesser lord from a lesser family because his family was outcast for being faithful,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so
And
that's
and
kind of what we're getting out of that.
and the other thing that I was like, oh man, are they really gonna do her this way? Was Tarmiriel, right?
Yeah.
Muriel's kind of like a bitch,
Yeah.
but um honestly, I think she's faking it
Yeah, I think she is putting on a show for who she needs to.
for yeah, the Kingsman, right?
Yeah.
Our Farazan not yet as big of a dick as I thought he was gonna be.
No, no. Well, but I feel like he's also putting on a show for the court,
Yeah,
right?
but I mean,
Like the few things that he said, like the way that he presents himself, he's very much placating and putting on a show for the
I think
court.
he's biding his time, right?
Right.
I love the fact that so the episode's called Adar, right?
Right.
Adar, right? It's so father and Cinderin.
Hmm.
And we have that storyline throughout the three stories that we're following in this episode, right?
Right.
There are stories of fathers in this episode, right? So
Yeah.
we have with the Harfoots, the the not the Brandy Bucks. What are they?
The aren't they Brandy? Not Brandy Foot. What are they?
No.
Brandy something.
Oh man, I can't
Man.
remember. Anyways,
Yeah. Brandy Foot. Are they Brandy Foot?
no, it's not Brandyfoot.
Okay.
It's not
Doesn't matter.
Brandyfoot. doesn't matter. But we have, their story, their father, right? Who is injured, who can't proceed with the migration that's upcoming.
Hmm.
So we have that father. With Arondir, where he is, we have Adar, who's a character in the show, who we get a glimpse of, and we'll talk about a little bit later. At the end of the episode, we get a glimpse of who this Adar character is, and then we have in Numenor, we have a couple of father storylines. One's a little subtle, and I don't know if like,
Muriel's father.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Very
we
much
have
still alive.
very much still alive, which I don't think is, canonically correct, but whatever. I think it's gonna play well. Um and then we have, obviously Elendil and him as a father to his children,
Right.
right? To Isildur. And again, I was gonna be all upset because I was like, where the fuck's Anarion? I don't see
They
them
mention
referencing a
him though.
brother. They did mention him, so I was like, okay.
And they even
Good.
mention him by name because at
Yeah.
first they just kind of talk about your brother for a
Yeah.
minute and then they actually mention him by name.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, they better not do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we have three father storylines throughout the show.
I feel like
And
it's just kind of heavy on that anyway, because we even see like if we were talking about fathers, it's heavy on that on the side of like even the mural that we have inside of the like Hall of Lore or whatever they call it,
yeah,
where we basically have the father of the Numenorians, right? Because it's
right.
Elrond and Elros in this picture.
Yeah.
And so we've got like this father of these lines as well, right? So yeah, I think it's a very, I mean, they titled it that for a reason, and they did a very good job with it,
Yeah.
right? They did a very good job with the idea of father. Yeah, I thought it started out really well. I think the vastness of Numenor is pretty awesome. Um,
Well, I mean,
I know it's and even like you could see behind like that's very reminiscent of Gondor,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The little the spire coming out and all of that. That's what I thought when they showed that aerial view. I was like, oh man, that is so reminiscent of Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
Um, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, I like Elendil. I like that he's very like you can tell very much that he still has the belief of his family of the faithful, but is trying to just like be a good father and a good citizen. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like that's what he wants to do more than anything right now. Um uh I'm trying to think of things. There are a lot of things that I liked about this episode. I'm trying to think of it. I feel like there was one or two things that as I was watching, I didn't necessarily love. I guess I still don't love the idea that like Elrond and like it's just not it's not I feel like Elrond and Elros as brothers in this decision that they made aren't talked about enough.
Yeah. It's
But
not.
maybe they
It's.
will.
I mean, it's not a story about them.
Right.
It was, someone I was on Reddit and they're like, they don't look like each other. I'm like, well, never said that they were identical twins,
Right. Right.
right?
I do love, I don't know if you caught I think his name's Sador. No, is that no, not Sador. He's not Hobblefoot.
He's not Hobblefoot.
The Hobbit, the one that reads the stars, the
Oh
one
yeah,
that's in
yeah,
charge of the Harfoots.
yeah. I forget his name.
Anyway, I don't know if you caught it when everybody meets the stranger and he says, "I've heard of people turning into stars but never falling from them."
Yeah.
I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
Arendelle, what?"
Which is a good pull for a hobbit who's not really involved in the histories, right?
Right. And like I'm sorry, but everybody who was earlier complaining about the idea of hobbits being in here. Now, first of all, they don't understand, right? Anybody who's complaining about it, it's because they didn't read the history of Middle-earth or didn't watch one of my very first TikToks where I explained to them that hobbits have been around for a very, very, very long time. But this show is doing it so well of showing how like sneaky and hidden hobbits are.
Yeah.
Like their caravan moving down like that trail, and it just kind of looks like moving mounds
Yeah.
just brushed up against everything else. Super cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
the wide shots, right? Those are really like coming into Numenor and seeing the
oh,
wide shots of everything. I was
and then
like,
it gets bigger.
ah,
It
I
got like
want
even
to see this
bigger.
place,
Like,
right? The way they filmed the horse riding scene, with her dress just kind
where
of
she was just
flowing,
happy
yeah, just
and
happy,
riding
yeah.
and
It was a little cheesy, but it was a good, like, it was filmed
right.
beautifully, right?
But
Like the
also like again, and obviously this isn't the Hobbit, but the Hobbit, like Tolkien kind of wrote cheesy and whimsical sometimes. You
Oh
know what
yeah,
I mean? Like
there's
think of Tom
fucking
Bombadil.
there's fucking songs everywhere.
Right, right.
The elves are singing songs
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
time we run into them in, The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so uh you know we have those three storylines. I think the big thing that kind of came out in the Numenor storyline, right? That I really enjoyed, was, we have confirmation of what that sigil is,
Right.
that Galadriel's been, looking for,
The like yeah, the
which is essentially a map
the
of,
sky view of Mordor.
right, the sky
Yeah.
view of the Southlands, right? Because it's
Right.
not Mordor yet. But
Right.
we see it turning into that when we look when we're with
Yes.
Arondir, right? We see just the
Ah.
utter destruction, and just their attempt to, like,
And we hear
escape.
it because we when she's reading she's telling Elendil that that was the plan the whole time, that the Southlands is where they would turn into a place for themselves,
Right.
not only where evil can exist but where evil can thrive, which
Yeah.
is exactly what they're doing,
Yeah.
right? Which is super cool.
Yeah. And so in the Arondir storyline, we get our first glimpse of the orcs, right?
That battle,
Their escape.
oh, that
Yeah.
whole thing where when he just when the tower warden just starts with that chain whip, like
Right.
starts the fight with the chain whip to the orc, I was like, oh, yes, like it was such a good fight. Like that battle was sick. And then they've got their like fucking pit bull warg,
Yeah, their Chihuahua warg.
little flat face.
Someone commented on the Rings of Power subreddit on Reddit. It's like, there's nothing more terrifying than a giant Chihuahua.
Oh,
Like,
that's great.
that's a true statement, because
That is absolutely true.
that thing was like freaky looking.
Oh yeah.
Um, you know,
So
uh,
good though.
yeah, that entire fight sequence was done very well.
The Tower Warden dying. Oh,
Yeah,
that hurt.
it was a little predictable, right?
It was. I thought he was gonna go. He turns around with an arrow, but then like gets, and it wasn't like Boromir gets shot with an arrow, and it's like this little like right. This
Right.
guy got shot with an arrow, and it like almost turned him completely around. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, dude, that hurt.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. That fight scene was great. Like that was really really good action. It was a great action
Yeah.
sequence because we've only had like a little bit of that so far, right? We're 3 episodes into a fantasy
I
series, and
mean,
really the only action sequence that we've had is
the pro
Galadriel and the cave troll.
yeah, which is the prologue
Right,
to, like, it wasn't even, that was like the beginning cutscene to the show,
right.
right? That's our introduction to the show. Um, and yeah, you're right. So this is the first, like, action sequence. Um, the other thing, I don't know if you noticed this when Halbrand's in the prison, the statue that's in there.
So do you think it's Unin?
That's what I've read.
Okay.
And if you zoom in, someone
It
said, "Oh,
looks
you
like
could."
she's like in the water.
It looks like she's in the water. And if you zoom in on her hair, it looks like she has seaweed in her hair.
Oh, that's cool.
So, which is yeah, because I mean, I think Ose was the one who had raised the island for
Hmm.
them, right?
Well,
So,
and they so
and
in the story,
they're sea people, right?
well,
So
and
of
in
course they would.
in the story of Aldarion and Arendis,
Yeah,
the Aldarion the Mariner, it's one of the reoccurring parts of it is that somebody from the house of the noble family is supposed to bring a bow to them before they set off to sea to appease Unin,
yeah,
to make sure that the lady of the water, right, the lady of the sea is like grants safe passage, basically. So it would make sense that they would have like statues and stuff about her.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought that was cool. I don't know how much I care about Halbrand right now.
Um,
I
well,
think they're trying to make him an intriguing character, and I'm kind of like,
he kind of went psycho like really
yeah, he like
quickly. Like he
snapped.
he basically said like, "Don't do that to me."
Right.
Like you don't want to
You,
see
you
me when I
yeah,
you
you
don't want to
wouldn't
see
like
me
me when I'm
when yeah,
angry.
you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. And then went fucking full on berserker mode.
Yeah,
Uh
he was very Jason Bourne at that moment.
yeah. And that was pretty graphic, right? Like
Oh yeah.
breaking
The
that dude's
broken arm.
the broken arm. I winced. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
bashing the
right.
guys into the face or bashing the guy's face into the wall.
And we find out later, right, in that scene where we see the statue of Unan, that Galadriel found out, yeah, you're not who you say you are, basically.
He's some
I
sort
know a
of
lot of
descendant
people,
of a Southland
well, a lot of people are saying, oh,
king.
it's Sauron. I'm
No,
not, it's not Sauron, right?
no,
I'm still not also with the stranger. I'm still not 100% that it's Gandalf,
no,
right?
no.
Um, the one thing that I did see is that the stars that he threw up, or the fireflies that he threw up to form the constellation, is actually the constellation of Gemini.
Oh, is it?
And so, could it be, the Blue Wizards? And he's looking. I mean, he's looking for somebody.
Right,
He's trying to find somebody.
right.
I'm not convinced it's Sauron. Someone said, I think Sauron would remember pushing a cart for a bunch of
With a bunch
Harfoots.
of hobbits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with a bunch of hobbits in it. Doesn't seem to know anything about them,
right.
in the stories. So I think we still don't know. They're trying to make us think like it's these two people, right? That either one of these two guys is either Sauron or
Or
Gandalf
well,
or
any of these three, right?
right?
Because they're
Yeah.
really pushing Adar as well as Sauron.
Right. Which again,
Because
I don't know who
the
Adar
warden,
is.
he I can tell you exactly who he is.
Who is he?
I can tell you exactly who he is.
Who is he?
He is an elf who is not named in the Silmarillion. But like he guaranteed he is an elf that got turned in a war. 100%. And the
I
reason
mean,
why I say that is because the in the photos that we saw, the sword is the exact same as the Feanorian swords that everybody was using.
yeah.
And his armor, his chainmail, is the exact same chainmail that Galadriel and all of those other warriors were wearing. So he is a Noldorian elf that got captured at some point.
Okay.
So
I
that's
I like
my
that. I like that theory.
yeah.
I will support that theory. I don't think it's Sauron.
No. I
Again,
don't think
I
we're
don't
going
think
to see Sauron.
yeah,
I don't think we're
possibly.
going to see him until I mean, if we see him, maybe the last episode of this season.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with that.
Like, and
Uh
everything else is
because
just a
because
really
what we're
clever misdirect.
yeah, it's and the reason I think that is because, I think what's going to happen is we're going to get to Celebrimbor and Durin, working on this forge, and lo and behold, here comes Anatar,
Right.
Lord of Gifts, to help out and
Right.
give you some knowledge, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I think yeah, I think everyone's kind of losing their minds trying to predict who Adar is in preparation for next Thursday's episode for me.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's Sauron.
No, no. I'm telling you, he is going to be a Noldor elf.
Yeah.
That got captured and turned at some point.
Because I honestly,
Which will be a cool story.
yeah. And these orcs, you get a real sense from these orcs that they are, these were tormented elves that
Oh yeah.
became, their own self-producing, you know, race.
Oh yeah.
So
I do like that they took the that in this form of orcs, they are the earlier concept of orcs where like sunlight hurts them,
yeah,
which is pretty cool,
yeah.
right?
Was a little inconsistent. Melissa said it was a little inconsistent because then, some of them like were in the sun, but they weren't being affected by it. I thought
I
for the
mean, most
most
of them
part,
were kind of covered if
that's
they
and
were
that's
in the
what I
sun,
said. I was
though.
like, most of them were covered up. So
Yeah.
it was only when like the hoods got pulled back that they really,
Right.
took the brunt of sun.
Yeah. Um, I do you know where we're at? I didn't start a timer.
No, but we started a little late.
Okay. So one of the other things that I really liked in this, well, okay, so do I don't know if you saw my TikTok on it. Do you care to even have any predictions of who these people are?
No, because I
Yeah.
suck at predictions.
So I don't either. And here's the thing is like all I will do is when somebody has a prediction, I'll be like, nah.
Yeah.
And then I'll make up something ridiculous like the stranger is Arondir who fell from the sky. Right.
So I'm so disappointed it's not Glorfindel.
um I just think that what I do believe, and maybe this is giving the showrunners too much credit, I don't know. But what I do believe is all of these people, they're doing this knowing that fans or like people who have known the source material for a while were going to drive themselves nuts on social media and podcasts and everything else trying to figure out who these people are. Right. And it's good. It's great for them, right? It's great for the show. It creates buzz. It gets things going. And if you want to think about those things, then like go for it. That's fine. My whole thing is they're going to tell us, like at some point, they're going to tell us who these people are. Yeah. So I don't need to sit here and make predictions about it. No. Right. I think it's fun. I think it's fine. Well, I think a lot of them are a little too on the nose to be the things that people think they are.
Yeah. I think it's either, if that's the case, then yes, the writing is awful.
Yeah.
If that's the case, right? And
yeah, if this point, is Gandalf, then that kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Like, and I will be disappointed with that if this is Gandalf.
Yeah.
And yeah,
because he is way too on the nose to be. He could literally be any other wizard. Actually, what I think would be super cool is if he were Saruman.
Ooh.
Because that is just a mean turn of events, right?
Yeah,
like
that would be a good one.
I feel like
that's a good theory.
I feel like that would be really cool, especially with like book Saruman, the way that he felt about hobbits and like Frodo and stuff forgiving him.
Yeah.
Like that made him so mad. Like he was enraged by that. I
don't think it's him though.
I think it would be cool. It could literally be any other wizard that's not Gandalf. Yeah. And I would be okay with it.
Yeah. If it's Gandalf, I'd be mad.
Yeah.
I would be mad. I would be mad. I'd be disappointed.
Still watch it. It wouldn't ruin it for me, but it's just too on the nose.
Yeah. It's too obvious.
Like,
and it's like, I don't care that it's, the thing that that would upset me wouldn't be the fact that it's Gandalf and it's the Second Age, right? It's that they made
it too obvious.
They made it too obvious.
Yeah.
Right? Just fucking give him a gray hat already.
Right. Like that's the thing. Like if
give him a gray hat and some pipeweed, and then
if he's going to be Gandalf, and like no matter what, that's who it's going to be. Don't keep it a secret then.
Yeah.
Just like boom, right out the gate, he's Gandalf.
Yeah.
Like you can't make it this obvious and then actually make it that without just
Yeah.
him being Gandalf.
Right. So that's why I'm saying like I don't think it is, and I really hope it's not, because then that's really bad writing, and
Right.
then I'm gonna have to eat my words to everybody on Reddit who's like complaining about it.
All right. So overall, episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, you feeling good about all of them?
I'm feeling good about all of them. 3 at this point is my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to 4. I think 4 we're gonna get some more. We're gonna get some more Numenor.
Right.
I'm hoping we don't get. We are gonna get Arondir, right? Again,
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to reveal who
Adar
Adar
is.
is, right? I believe that there's going to be Galadriel again, and I think what we may not have the Harfoots
I'd be okay with an
or the
episode
Strand.
without the Harfoots.
Yeah, and I would be okay with that. I think keeping it to three storylines, because I mean, what do we have? We have Numenor at this
Mm-hmm.
point. We have Numenor and Galadriel, which are separate, right?
Right.
We have
The
Elrond and
Southlands.
Lindon,
Oh,
right?
right.
We have the Southlands, and then we have
Cause of Doom.
hold on. Hold on. Let's go back. So Galadriel and Halbrand, right?
Uh-huh.
We have Numenor. Those are two
Right.
separate storylines.
Right.
We have Lyndon and Gilgalad, right?
Right.
We have um uh Region and Celebrimbor, and we're gonna throw in Khazad-dûm in there because that's what it seems like that storyline's gonna go into,
Right.
right? So Elrond, Khazad-dûm, Celebrimbor, that's
Durin
all.
and
Yeah,
Disa.
yeah. That's all gonna be a storyline. We have Bronwyn
Mm-hmm.
and Theo, right? Uh, Arondir and his captivity in the Southlands slash Proto Mordor.
Right.
Am I missing anything else? I just kind of went straight.
No, I think that's pretty much
So that's
all of the ones that I
7.
can think of.
That's
Yeah.
7 storylines.
And that's all
So
of the storylines that we have right
oh
now.
oh, Harfoots and the Strangers.
And the Harfoots and the
So
Stranger.
that's
But
7. That is
that's
7.
all of the
I
ones that we
counted
have
6.
right now, right? We're gonna get to a point where we're also going to have like the priests because we've seen that they exist,
Yeah.
right? And so yeah. Yeah, I
3's a good number.
yes.
Maybe 4 if you don't spend too much time with one of them, right?
Right.
But
And
yeah,
we're getting good hour-long episodes.
that was 70 minutes.
Yeah. And so I agree. I think this was a good one because I felt like I feel like in this one, all of the stories felt a little bit more cohesive. Even though they're doing different things, they felt better put together. Like even the Harfoots didn't take me out as much as they did in episode
No.
1 and 2.
Oh, I think that yeah, I totally agree. The Harfoots this season or this episode, that storyline was more engaging than the other one before, right? I think
Yeah.
it was a little too slow,
Yep.
right? Um, um, it was a setup. One
Yeah.
and two are setup, right?
Right.
Three,
Absolutely.
we 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, however many we got this season. Those are gonna be it's gonna start moving more, right? So
Yep.
it's like when you're in the Pirates of the Caribbean, right? It's super slow,
Right.
right? And then it speeds up, and then
Yeah.
not super fast, but whatever. Probably a bad
Absolutely.
analogy. I'm bad at it.
No, I think it's good so far. I don't really have a ton of complaints on episode 3. There's not a ton that I was like I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
You and I both had a few things that we talked about that we like complained a little bit about on episode 1 and 2, but there's just not really anything that I have that I didn't like in
yeah.
episode 3.
I think that's gonna be the thing with us, right? Like we enjoy The Hobbit,
Right.
right?
Yeah. So
So
for the
like if
most part, we're gonna like
we're
this
gonna
show.
like the show, right?
Yeah.
That we're definitely gonna find things like we did with The Hobbit, that we didn't like, that we didn't
Right.
care for. But is it really gonna take me out of the show and be like, fuck this, I'm not gonna watch this? Like, no, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you really
Um,
think I'm not gonna watch anything Tolkien related?
yeah, right. Exactly.
Like, like, no. Like, if that's you, then cool, man. Enjoy the movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Enjoy 3 movies. and the
All right,
books.
everybody. Well, we will be back next week with another one of these. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be dropping the Rohan episode of the Swolhirrim podcast as well.
Do you have a
Uh,
workout for that?
so that's ready to, I don't have a workout for it yet. Not yet.
Ooh. Okay.
But I'm going to be dropping that tomorrow. So thanks, everybody who listen, comment, and share this with any of your Tolkien friends. Let us know what you liked about episode 3, and if you haven't said anything about episode 1 and 2, let us know what you liked about those as well. Find us on at @the_Swolhirrim, both at on Instagram and on TikTok. And on Instagram, you can find our link tree that will send you to our Patreon, our TikTok, our swag that we have that
Swag.
neither of us are wearing right now, but
No,
we've worn before.
we've worn it
Um,
before. I need to get more.
and yeah, this is I love that we're doing this. This is a really fun format. It's still a little bit difficult and like trying to like rein everything in.
To 30
Um,
minutes, yeah.
yeah, but find us, guys. Comment. We'll be doing more lives. I did a live last week that was a lot of fun. And I jumped on one with Annex, our good buddy Annex, who does some amazing
Really?
content.
I never get notified of that.
Yeah. So let us know what you think, everybody. We thought it was great. The action sequences were wonderful. The long shots were beautiful. It was a good episode. You got anything else, Carlos?
Bye.